1 week to the day after Iran's presidential elections, the White House is sticking to its guns. In fact, it's insisting, that it would be counterproductive to meddle in Iranian politics. And the ranking Republican on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee agrees. That's right, agrees. Senator Dick Lugar says, quote, "Our position is to allow the Iranians to work out their situation," unquote. But it seems that Senator Lugar's message didn't make it to the other end of the Capitol, where Congressman Mike Pence, also from Indiana, just introduced a resolution to show support for Iranian protesters.
The American cause is freedom, and in this cause, the American people will not be silent, here or abroad. If the President of the United States won't express the unqualified support of our nation for the dissidents in the streets of Tehran, this Congress must.
Congressman Mike Pence joins me now. Congressman Pence, good to see you, sir.
Thanks, Carlos.
Congressman, so what would you like to see the Obama administration do?
Well, you know, our focus today is really on not what the president would or should do, but what the Congress, as we speak, Carlos, is doing. I just stepped off the floor during debate of a bipartisan resolution that I co-authored with the Democrat chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee that will give the Congress, in a matter of just a couple of hours here, the opportunity to vote to express our support for the people of Iran who are demonstrating on behalf of their fundamental human rights and freedom and free elections. We'll also condemn the violence against dissidents by the government of Iran and by pro-government militias. So, you know, I respectfully have disagreed with the tack the administration has taken, but I got to tell you, I'm very pleased that the Congress is coming together today in a bipartisan spirit to allow the American people, through their elected representatives, to give a word of encouragement to those who are courageously standing for freedom in the streets of Tehran.
And Congressman, obviously there's a proud history in the United States of us standing by various freedom-fighting groups. But do you worry at all the concern expressed by Senator Lugar, by Senator Kerry, by a wide range of people on both sides of the aisle, that despite our good intentions, that if we speak out too clearly, too forcefully, that actually could hurt those whom we most want to help?
Well, I have great respect for my colleagues in the Senate, especially Indiana's Dick Lugar, but on this one I'll respectfully disagree. I don't think engagement and the speaking of ideals are mutually exclusive. I think it is possible, and we've demonstrated it throughout our history, again and again, for the American people to stand up and articulate our ideals very, very clearly on the world stage, while at the same time extending a hand of engagement to countries that who may operate in a way that's antithetical to those ideals. And so I think, you know, the administration has drawn the line where they see fit. I respectfully disagreed with the president even on where he's drawn the line. But today in the House of Representatives, you're going to see, and it will, I expect by overwhelming bipartisan measure, Republicans and Democrats give a word of support, not to, you know, not to one candidate over another, but to the people of Iran, who I really believe, Carlos, have gotten a whiff of freedom here and have taken to the streets and risked their liberty and risked their lives on behalf of freedom. And I think the most powerful free nation in the history of the world at least should express a word of encouragement and support to those good and brave and courageous Iranian people.
Congressman Pence, one last question to you. How much further should we go? We obviously, over our history, have had a number of stare downs, whether it has been Tiananmen Square, even the Russian coup that we saw in the early 90s, Lech Walesa, lots of other people. Would you see some kind of military engagement or threat if, in fact, there's more open crushing, in fact, killing of some of the reformers and protesters? How far would you take this?
Well, what I'm pleased is that Congress today, despite the calls by many commentators and many in public life for America to essentially stay neutral in the conflagration in Iran today, the American people, through their Congress, are going to speak a word of encouragement to those brave citizens in Iran.
Sir, I know,
we're going to condemn the violence.
I know that, but how much further would you go? I get that. I get that you say there's a word of encouragement. It's bipartisan. Right. Howard Berman's there. But I want to understand, and I think people watching want to understand, how much further are you willing to go? If, in fact, the protesters stay in the street, if, in fact, more of them are killed, if, in fact, the Guardian Council and others are openly repressive, how much further would you like to see the United States go?
Well, Carlos, I really, if the suggestion is whether the United States of America should become involved militarily in Iran, I think that's probably beyond the pale here. What we're talking about, what Ronald Reagan did, what American leaders have done and American Congresses have done throughout our history, is when we see people standing up for their own freedom around the world, we stand with them, first rhetorically, and then if there are ways that we can bring aid and comfort to them, we do that. Congress is going to step into that gap today. I'm pleased about it, but I don't know anybody in Washington that's talking about some sort of military or some sort of engagement in this. This is, I think, the leaders, the tyrants in Tehran, ought to be more worried about how much those freedom-loving people are willing to do than we ought to entertain those thoughts here.
Congressman Pence, I very much appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Carlos.